The first time I visited the Holy Sepulchre, I left puzzled by the piety and devotion demonstrated by many pilgrims, touching the stones, kissing them, shedding lots of tears, wailing. There was more than my senses could handle all at once. There was a lot to process, which had to do with the body. The mostly tactile relationship with the land, the stones, is about establishing a contact with the Holy One, between his body and our body, and the body of former pilgrims throughout the ages. There is the belief that somehow, even after 2,000 years, even if we don't know if it is the actual spot, even if stones have been replaced, there is a connection, an uninterrupted flow, an unbroken tie. And it is true that generations after generations, a link has been preserved. This has to do with the incarnation. Anywhere else in the world, the materiality of Jesus' body may escape us. It is impossible here. You realize the miles Jesus walked, the heat he felt, how fit he was, what he likely smelled, heard, saw, touched, even tasted. However, in the West, the only time we truly see the body of Jesus is on Good Friday, when his body is tortured, exposed, and dies. We may think about it at his birth, but not as extensively as we do at his death. Throughout his life, we hear about his teachings, his acts, his prayers, but we forget that he did all this through his body. We cannot ignore his body on the cross. We can only gaze at it. But this is unbearable, and we want to look away or look at it thinking that it is only temporary. Most representations most of us often see are sanitized. Only on Good Friday do we accept to acknowledge the cruelty of the crucifixion. It is a rare occasion of a profound connection and encounter with God made flesh. The so-called Good Friday brings an intensity that seizes our body. There is blood, there is excruciating suffering, and there is thirst. Thirst is something physical. But I think Jesus is talking simultaneously about another thirst. I am thirsty immediately conjures up for me the memory of the woman at the well in Samaria. Jesus tells her he can give her the living water with which she will never be thirsty again. I think it is this water that Jesus himself is longing for on the cross. In Matthew's Gospel, before Jesus dies, we have instead, more poignantly and straightforwardly perhaps, Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? It is a moment of unknowing, of pain, of confusion. It is not the what if of faith, but the what if of fear. Our bodies are currently a threat to each other, not only through our touch. We cannot be in physical contact with family members, friends, perhaps even partners, let alone with strangers. However trying this time is, I believe we can use it to deepen our knowledge of God, as we believe God to be as Christians. Through Jesus, we have a God who desires to be known to human beings through physical presence, through touch, through the sharing of a meal, through the very same body you and I have in common. It is unbearable to see Jesus on the cross, not necessarily because we feel responsible for it, or because we have compassion for him. It may be because our body knows that the suffering goes even beyond what we could imagine. There, Jesus becomes untouchable, remote, physically distant. His disciples knew his powerful and healing contact. Instead, in the words of the poet R.S. Thomas, we are left with a longing for the reciprocating touch of God.